1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. We are coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And do me a favor, download our brand new Channel Africa app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. It's a good afternoon to you, Mmatsheko Mosito. How you doing?
I'm good. Happy new week to you.
Too many things have been happening this past weekend.
What happened?
All on the news front, and we'll touch on them during What Caught Your Eye. Sports, quite a few things happening there. Any Orlando Pirates fans here? I know not a lot. Katu, are you an Orlando Pirates fan? Okay, he's happy.
I heard you guys have a new Formula One guy.
Formula One, Mmatsheko, there's so much to unpack.
I heard it through the grapevine.
But let's talk about what's coming up on the show this afternoon, because we're going to touch on, remember last week we touched on, during What Caught Your Eye, the ban of social media for under 16s in Australia. Mm-hmm. There's a 13-year-old girl who bypassed the system and was able to get full access by simply using her mother's picture. And then she got access. So we're going to be unpacking what this ban will actually do to the kids psychologically. It's taking place from the 10th of December. I mean, we are lauding it and saying it's a brilliant idea. The kids need it. Stay away from, content that is very harmful, and, they must just stay away from these social media things. But practically, how will it be applied? And also psychologically, what impact will this have on them?
It was clearly only a matter of time until a really smart whiz kid,
13 years old.
I mean, come on, I think that's the one thing I didn't think about, is that these children are way too smart. I mean, also, like, are we on time for this ban? Clearly not. If 13-year-olds are able to, it's too far gone. It's way, 100%. way out of our hands 100%.
Now. And I wonder what's going to happen with things like VPNs. I mean, if a child uses a VPN and understands how it works, and they just simply set their location to another country outside of Australia, will this then allow them to have access to the social medias? Anyway, we'll unpack that later. And then, was it last week or some time ago, there was a house that was sort of raided by Johannesburg municipality something, and they in Bryanston, and they found that house may be hijacked.
Yeah.
Illegal or informal settlement has now been created because the manager of the house, I'll unpack it properly later. Suffice to say, there's a house in Bryanston that has been converted into an informal settlement, but the owners are unaware that there were people living on that property. As far as they were concerned, no one is living there. Their house is their house. They come back. Hey, their house has been hijacked.
Imagine you go on holiday and come back and that happens. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's happening in this country. But yeah, it's one of those, right?
Absolutely. It's 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Those are some of the conversations that we'll be having today. And please engage with us. We'd love to hear where you're streaming us from. Our WhatsApp line is +27 63 406 9126.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender based violence GBV zikuononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito, ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa, funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 10 asanu ndi anayi a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Kutenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here.
Look what the hot body can do. Focus. Look what the hot body can do. Body be dancing, slow wine, so my body so fine. Like wash when I'm at her inside. Too quant and I'm inside. Make sense, oh, make sense. Oh my God, I need resistance. Fragrance, smelling from a distance. Make sense, oh, make sense. Body be dancing. Controller, controller. I get remote for my holder. Make your body slow when I slow down. Put it on the low, no go loud down. You know the things I wanna do tonight. Unusual. Put it down, make it take away your peace of mind. You go blow like water, we get it freeze up like yeah. Open your eyes and look. Look what the hot body can do. I say, look. Focus. Look what the hot body can do. Body be dancing, slow wine, so my body so fine. Like wash when I'm at her inside. Too quant and I'm at her inside. Make sense, oh, make sense. Oh my God, I need resistance. Fragrance, smelling from a distance. Make sense, oh, make sense. Body be look. Look what the hot body can do. I said, baby, look what the hot body can do.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
It's Chris with the drama boy.
I'm in love with you. There's nothing that wouldn't do. Catch a bullet for you. As long as you want me to. I'm in love with you. There's nothing that wouldn't do. Catch a green hair for you. As long as you want me to. Benzitali papa ngojera. Uba kama tanga sekera. Kwa viuno vya paikoko. Kutoka Manzabe. Picha twazi twanga kisera. Posti insta wanga kwa kera. Baada ya chali kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. Ooh, na, na. Ooh, na, na. round the world. Girl, I've been looking for you. I think I might just find you in Africa. Girl, you know the sound when I come around. Lost you in the crowd, girl, pick up your crown. Yeah, do it now, do it now. Do it now, do it now. Penzi tali kama ngojera, uba kama tanga segera. Kobyoloka bakoko, kutoka mazabe. Picha twaze, twanga kisera. Posti isa, wanga kwakera. Watajabi kemoko. 'Cause I just wanna let you know African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. Bembea, takupepea. African beauty. Oh, love is what I see when I look into your eyes. Tiny cube, waga navona, navona. And you know I deserve to be the one that takes you high. Timwili chumbani kila kona. Penzi tali papa ngojera. Uba kama tanga segera. Kwa vino vya paikopo kutoka mazabe. Picha twazi twanga kisera. Posti insta wanga kwakera. Baada ya chali kimoko. 'Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. Oh, you're mine, yes, you're mine, African beauty. And your lies are with you. There's nothing that wouldn't do. Get your blood for you, as long as you want me to. I'm in love with you. There's nothing that wouldn't do.
African Beauty, Diamond Platinums featuring Omarion. It was a double play. We kicked you off with Hot Body by Ira Star. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo, Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko, Mosito. Join us on our social media platforms. We'd love to engage with you at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Let's take a quick breather. It is 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. When we get back, we unpack the psychological impact that this Australian social media ban for under 16s will have on the under 16s. Don't go anywhere.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a amené à dire ça? Est-ce que vous avez observé un certain nombre d'événements dans la vie? Est-ce que c'était par rapport à une expérience? Est-ce que vous avez rencontré des choses qui vous ont dit il faut de la patience, comme ça les choses vont venir au bon moment et les bons dieux pourra peut-être me visiter?
Oui, c'était justement un conseil que le Seigneur m'a fait inspirer pour donner à son peuple, parce qu'il y a la plupart des gens, pendant que Dieu bénit les autres, ils pensent que Dieu les a oubliés, et pendant que Dieu ouvre pour les autres, ils pensent que peut-être Dieu n'a pas pu écouter leurs prières. Alors, ce n'est pas le cas. Alors, Dieu bénit tout un chacun de nous avec son temps. Donc, le temps de Dieu est toujours le meilleur dans la vie de tout un chacun de nous.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Tebogo and Mmatsheko on the upside.
It's 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Let's unpack the impact that the social media ban in Australia for the under-16s will have psychologically on the under-16s. I'd mentioned earlier during our throw forward with Lulu Kabu that their neighbors, New Zealand, they don't have a ban. Other countries, other teenagers around the world, they don't have a ban. What impact will this have on the kids? Because as it stands, if you know that other kids, and you've been exposed to this social media for years, now all of a sudden it's been taken away from you. Withdrawal symptoms are going to be one of the first things you experience. But then now you're going to, Lulu Kapoor was like, yeah, now we'll have more children playing on the streets, playing outside, not on their phones. But let's unpack what impact that's really going to have. Australia's bold new social media ban for under-16s was meant to be a global blueprint for online child safety, but it's already showing some cracks. So we saw that a 13-year-old girl by the name of Isobel has exposed the system's biggest weakness, slipping past age checks in minutes by simply holding up a photo of her mother to the verification camera. No hacking, no tricks, just a loophole big enough to walk through. From the 10th of December, the ban is going to be in full effect. But there are kids that are already bypassing the system, trying to get back and get the social media platform or presence again. But what impact will this have on the under-16s? To help us unpack and to walk us through this journey, we are joined on the line by Mirtha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant, director of Insight Wellbeing. Mirtha, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Let's talk about the psychological impact that this social media ban will have on the teenagers, the under-16s.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is a very interesting piece of law that we can have. I think we find we are increasingly trying to legislate for moral issues. And this is very interesting because, you know, there are certain things in this world that we're in. We want to embrace technology. We want to embrace all these advancements of AI and how these things make life easier. But I don't think we are understanding how the minds of human beings work. They're not as fast. We are generally habitual when it comes to a lot of things. We're creatures of a habit. We don't tend to easily switch to Yahoo or Google or whatever new thing that comes on the market. We want to warm up to things. We want to understand how are these things going to make life better for us. But with this, it comes with quite a lot of consequences, I would say, because mental health-wise, I think we would find initially it will increase anxiety and depression in our children who were used to these social media platforms. To an extent, it had become an addiction. And again, when we're looking at an addiction, you can't just remove something that someone had been addicted to and say, well, it's banned, you can't use it anymore. You've got to walk them through the process. Psychologically, what does that mean for you not having something that you've relied on for so long? And physically as well. What's going to happen to the gadgets? Where they're going to be so that they can't use them? All those kind of things have a negative impact on especially our children who are starting to understand this complex life that we live in. Whilst there's this element of trying to safeguard them and prevent them from cyberbullying and all these unrealistic body image ideals. These are some of the things that authorities need to regulate and see how they can stop some of these negative images from being put out there, rather than actually stop children from accessing things. And you may also find the sleep quality of children may also be affected or may have been affected by the hyperconnectedness that they've gotten into. But again, just removing that. Over time, yes, it has positive health impacts, but on the immediate side of things, I think we'll find things get worse before they get better. And also looking at the self-esteem of these kids, these are some of the reasons why they felt safer online than actually being in a face-to-face social skill setting.
Okay, if I may just jump in there, because we have very limited time, but I'm just wondering out loud, are we actually looking at this problem sort of perhaps as a distraction, or are we covering up a much bigger problem? Because behavior is quite a difficult thing to deal with. I would imagine, because it requires us to look within, to be self-aware as a society. Use Australia as an example. Cost of living and housing is a huge crisis there. There are youth mental health strains that are in that country that many of us can relate to. Indigenous inequality is another one. So are we using or cushioning ourselves just with this little social media issue, instead of really at a government and policy making level, looking at what society looks like and fixing the societal problem instead of just focusing on social media? Do you think perhaps that's what many societies are grappling with?
Absolutely, and that's a very good understanding of the problem, because what you actually find is we look at these complex problems and we want to address them with a quick fix solution. But this is a tree that's been growing for 15 years, if we're looking at these teenagers. And it's bent a certain way, or it's leaning a certain way. You can't just wake up one day and say, I want to straighten it up this way. More than likely, you're actually going to break it than actually get the desired result. So we need to be very conscious of what problems are we trying to address, not just looking at the quick fix solutions. These are problems that are deep ingrained, that you may find, yes, our children are going more and more into anxieties over fear of missing out and all those kind of things. But the most important thing why they're ending up there is the one thing that we are not looking at. How do they end up there?
Yes.
Why do we end up having these kind of problems? What is society doing to these young minds?
Mertha, we're going to park it there for now, and we'll continue our conversation and wrap it up nicely right after we get our sports and business news. The voice of Mertha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant, director of Insight Wellbeing. We're talking about the impact of the Australian social media ban that it will have on the kids psychologically, and perhaps even addressing some bigger issues that are at play there as well. It's 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We bet off with cricket news. Faye Turner-Cliff led the Proteas women to a 65-run victory over Ireland in the second T20 International at Boland Park in Paarl on Sunday. The win secured an unassailable 2-0 series lead for the hosts with one match remaining. The top-order batter struck 7 fours in her 51 of 42 deliveries as South Africa posted 201 for 5 from their 20 overs. With the ball, the Proteas women restricted Ireland to 136 for 3, despite an unbeaten 51 not out of 43 balls from Ola Prendergast, 4 fours, 1 6. Chloe Trion led the attack with figures of 2 for 24. Turner-Cliff says she's more happy to contribute for the team.
Yeah, really special. My goal has always been to contribute to the team, and I just wanted to do that meaningfully, and I'm glad that Sune and I could put like a pretty good foundation up. And then, I mean, the middle order was insane. They came in and just like whacked it all over. So yeah, happy with that. Made him 50, hopefully a lot to come, but main thing, like I said, is to contribute.
On to football news. South African football legend Shaun Bartlett has set a challenge for current attacker Mohaung Nkota to emulate him and score a brace at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Bartlett, who is the second all-time leading national team goal scorer with 29 goals, believes the current team has all the qualities to impress in North America next year.
So, I gave Mohaung Nkota the challenge. I said to them, listen, I stopped playing 20 years ago, and I'm still second all-time leading goal scorer. I want you to break that record. I want you to score 2 goals in a World Cup. And he's taken the challenge. So Mohaung knows exactly what he needs to do. First game, maybe even possible against Mexico. It's a repeat of 2010. And hopefully we can do the same also if we get Denmark, if they go all the way and make the group stage. So,
on to athletics and marathon. Kenyans John Korir and Jocelyn Jepkosgei won the Valencia Marathon, with the latter crossing the line in a course record for the women's race. Jepkosgei stopped the clock at 2 hours 14 minutes exactly, followed by compatriot Perez Jepchichir 2 hours 14 and 43 seconds, and Belgian Chloe Herbert 2 hours 20.38 seconds. Korir, meanwhile, was well clear of the men's field, crossing in 2 hours 02.25 seconds, ahead of German Anna-Mal Petros 2 hours 04.03 seconds, and Norwegian Kibrab Awet 2 hours 04.25 seconds. On to golf news. Norway's Christopher Rayton held his nerve to claim the Nedbank Golf Challenge title. Rayton began the final round with a commanding 5-shot lead, but faltered as Daniel Bradbury and Jaden Shaper closed the gap. A bogey at the 15th cut his advantage to just 1. The Norwegian steadied himself, paring his way home for a level par 71 to finish at 17 under and secure victory by a single shot. It marks Rayton's second win on the DP World Tour, with Bradbury and Shaper sharing second place just 1 stroke behind. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fidel Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
35 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's find out how the markets are moving by going straight to business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In our top business story this hour, South Africa's national oil company, Petro SA, has approved a deal to give Shell Offshore a 60% stake in its Block 2C off the country's west coast. If successfully concluded, the agreement will strengthen oil major Shell's exposure to the Orange Basin, which has become one of the world's most coveted exploration zones after major oil discoveries in neighboring Namibia. According to a short note under Petrosa's priority programs, the company had approved the farm-in deal, with Shell committing to a $25 million signing bonus and full cost carry of around $135 to $150 million for 3 wells. Petro SA holds 100% of Block 2C. South African Trade Unions Federation, COSATU, says it would like to see a shift from austerity cuts to enable the social relief of distress grant to be increased to the food poverty line. The Labour Federation's parliamentary coordinator, Matthew Parks, made the submission on the medium-term budget policy statement to Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations this morning. This is part of the committee's ongoing public hearings on the MTBPS. Currently, the SRD grant is just over $46 while the food poverty line is just over $47 Park says, while there are a few factors to celebrate, like the end of load shedding and getting off the grey list, more measures should be put in place to assist workers.
We just really want to see in the budget next year really a shift away from austerity cuts. Let's prioritize frontline services and see how to reduce wasteful expenditure. We do think that over the MTEF, we should be finding a pathway to raise the SRD grant to the food poverty line. We should be prioritizing filling frontline vacancies like doctors, nurses, teachers, police officers, not management.
Some emerging businesses in South Africa's Limpopo province say they're hopeful that a partnership between the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange will provide them with access to capital and credible markets. LEDIT and the JSE reached an agreement to build a permanent investment pipeline that can unlock market access and funding for small and medium-sized enterprises in the province. 34-year-old small-scale farmer Dwanano Mabunda hopes that the partnership between LEDIT and the JSE will help bring investment.
I think if we get funding, grant funding, to buy our machinery and build some agro-processing house and some bigger dehydrator machine and a vegetable cutter, because now we are using a knife. We don't have a proper material. We are trying with the little we have. Even the hydrator machine we have, but it's small. We want to put volumes.
Meanwhile, spokesperson for the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism in South Africa, Hitekani Magwedze, says the partnership with the JSE will help bring funding to small and medium-sized enterprises.
We are hoping and we trust that we'll potentially get about 100 or so businesses funded. Now that is monumental for the province as a whole.
The Russian government says India will continue buying oil wherever it's profitable for it to do so in order to ensure its own economic interests. US President Donald Trump doubled tariffs on Indian goods to 50% in August to punish New Delhi for buying Russian oil, which Washington said was helping to fund Russia's war in Ukraine. On a visit to New Delhi last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered India uninterrupted fuel supplies. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says India, as a sovereign state, conducts foreign trade operations and purchases energy resources where it's beneficial for India, and will continue this policy to ensure their economic interests. And now taking a look at the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,449 naira. In Botswana, it's 13.15. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 75, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 1. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 Real 43 this afternoon. Russia, 75 rubles 87. India, it's 89 rupees 89. China, 717, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 92 cents this afternoon. It's broken through that 16 rand level. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,211 per ounce and platinum at $1,665 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $63.26 a barrel. And that's the business news. I'll be back with another update in the next hour. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play. and the Apple App Store. Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It's 42 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Join us on our social media platforms where we are streaming live at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And let us know where you're streaming us from on our social media platforms or send us a voice note. Our WhatsApp line is +27 63 406 9126. And weigh in on this Australian social media ban. What do you think about it? Is it going to be practical? And what impact will this have, not just on the kids, but the parents as well? All right, Australia's under-16 social media ban isn't just a policy story, right? It's a psychological one, and we'll continue our conversation because it was introduced to give parents a sense of safety, to ease anxiety around cyberbullying and exposure to harmful content. But recently, a 13-year-old young girl bypassed the system using nothing more than a photo of her mother. It exposed something deeper, that when it comes to online spaces, young people are often more curious, more adaptive, and more tech-savvy. The system's designed to restrict them. Psychologists warn that bans can sometimes trigger reactance, that instinctive pushback, when people, especially teenagers, feel their freedom is being limited. And parents who hoped this law would reduce their mental load are now dealing with renewed uncertainty. Does the ban actually protect my child or just creates the illusion of safety? And we'll continue our conversation with Mirtha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant director of Insight Wellbeing. Mirtha, let's talk about the parents. And I guess we'll also address at some point during the conversation the practical steps that the teenagers will have to then take in managing this new space, this new era of being without social media. But talk to us about the mindset of a parent when they will have heard this initial ban. Is it one of excitement that, wow, okay, cool, my child can now, be protected from cyberbullying and all this harmful content online? But a matter of how is it going to be practically implemented? What new challenges do parents now have to deal with this ban coming up on the 10th of December in Australia?
Very, very interesting perspective to take. Now, the issue that is causing these young men and women to be glued onto their phones, as we said earlier on, is much deeper than social media. Yeah. These are issues to do with people, with these children's self-esteem and confidence. And these are issues that, consciously or not, as parents, we perhaps enable without understanding what it is that we are supposed to. The world has become busier. And the demands have become too much for parents. They might have to hold 2 jobs to be able to afford to buy that iPhone that this child is using to access social media. So their demands have been too much that they've not had much time to spend with their children. And this is why they are now ending up in these kind of spaces. It's like a vicious cycle where I'm not available to my child to teach them how to be confident, how to have a healthy self-esteem. I'm not explaining things to my child. Now, because I'm not available and I'm not there, I then think, okay, I feel more comfortable by throwing these gadgets and all these material things to my child, hoping that that will fill in the gap of my absence. These are where these problems are coming from. So we can't then look at the children and blame them for not having present parents in the home because of the capitalistic system that has taken the toll here. Essentially, this is what we're now doing, and we are now blaming the children for what's going on. Yet it's us, the parents, it's us, the adults, who have created these problems. Even when we're thinking of introducing the social media, it was the adults who put those things out there. It was the adults who've come up with all these concepts and says, actually, we want to introduce all these things. They're exciting for our teenagers, for our children. So we can't then turn around and say, well, this is too much, let's ban it. We essentially create a more difficult dynamic here.
Yeah. Murtha, this is a double-edged sword because we do want children that are tech savvy, that are able to move with the times. But just back to, what in your response, because you're addressing a lot of parental and family dynamics, just around how parents are supporting their children and the online safety issues, because parents cannot solely rely on legislation and platform restriction to help them parent. So what then is the solution? How do we shift family dynamics in a more positive manner to make sure that we really are taking charge in our own homes to make sure that children are tech savvy, but we also are being parents in our own homes?
So just as you've heard, our children are actually quite clever when it comes to technology than us. Hence, they're able to subvert all these rules that are being put in place. So what we need to do as families, we need to be able to have quality time with each other. As parents, we need to create an environment where we've got hobbies that are offline, that are enjoyable for the family to engage in. Because I think like now, even when you get into a corporate world environment, you find the adults are on social media themselves. So how can you then be able to justify to say, you can't do this while I can because I'm over 16? These are the difficulties, and that is actually going to cause more strain between families than actually bring them back together. So what we need to think about is more family engagement. Let's have activities that bring families together without gadgets being there. Let's play games, let's play sport, let's do all these community connection things that allow the adults and the children to be in commune and be able to communicate and hear each other. But like you said earlier on, the problem that we have is how are we going to implement this ban, right? Are we going to stop having Wi-Fi in spaces? Are we going to stop internet service providers loading these things? But remember, there are VPNs that you can just have VPN and we won't know where you are, whether you're in Australia or you're in Tanzania. You can just access whatever it is that you want to access. So these things are not as easy as someone coming in and say, we are going to ban this and you're not going to have access to this. Remember, these young people understand technology more than we do. This is the one thing that I think this ruling has overlooked.
It's 9 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African time. We'll continue our conversation with Murtha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant director of Insight Wellbeing. Don't go anywhere.
Annie Kalonji.
sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de Succès Masra?
La condamnation de Succès Masra ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester et donc c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays et aujourd'hui nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément mais le verdict est sévère.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
It's 8 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's wrap up our conversation about the Australian social media ban for under 16s with Mirtha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant director of Insight Well-Being. Mirtha, let's talk to the teenager who on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, is going to realize, hey, I can't access social media anymore. I can't access TikTok. I can't access, and maybe they were not able to use the VPNs and however other means to bypass and ensure that their account still is active. What are they going to experience? Speak to them from a point of view of, are they likely to experience some withdrawal symptoms? Are they going to feel isolated? What are going to be some normal feelings and sentiments once this ban hits the 10th of December, and how can they navigate it?
Right. So, like I said earlier on, we are creatures of a habit. And we very quickly find enjoyable habits, functional habits on a day-to-day. And our teenagers have found this habit that they have latched onto to a point that it has become an addiction. Now, addiction is not something that we can easily legislate to say no to alcohol, no to drugs, no to internet. We have to understand the emotional driver that is there, that is pushing this group of people to want to be in that space. Anxiety is a big thing for teenagers. And there are so many fears of what's going to happen, who am I going to become, all this identity crisis and trying to connect with other teenagers globally so that they can actually try to identify a space for them. Now, if someone then comes and say, no, you can't do that anymore, you can't explore certain things that are going to help your identity in future, that can have some very serious consequences and things that as a teenager, you're going to struggle most. We talk about identity crisis, and we may actually catapult and amplify this crisis to be much more difficult than it should be. It's already a known space that it is a crisis. So instead of us as adults coming in to see how can we help manage this identity crisis, we're actually coming in to make it more difficult. So these are some of the things that as a teenager, you're going to find it difficult. You're going to start to be more afraid of things, to have that fear of missing out amplified. My friends are going to know things I'm not, and that can push you into a space of depression. Just feeling hopeless and helplessness because you can't contribute to conversations because you don't think you know what others are talking about. But what we want to encourage the teenagers at this point, especially those in Australia, is there is, despite the abuses that technology has, it also has advantages, huge advantages. So we need to get to a space where we're able to balance those advantages and disadvantages in a way that is not as punitive as actually banning these things.
Right.
So
Right. We are running really short of time, and I wanted to just squeeze in one more question in finality, because, you know, we are looking here at a conversation that really wants to meet policy and practicality in our homes. You know, so I want to get a sense from your perspective, Mertha, what additional measures, if I can call it that. I mean, beyond the age verification and what is happening realistically, how can we actually support children's mental health and safety online? Because I think that is actually at the crux of this issue, is the fact that children are exposed. We want them to be there. We want them to be upwardly mobile grown-ups when they get to a point where they can be. But we also have to be mindful and cognizant of the fact that we have mental health issues. And this is not just an Australian problem. It's a universal problem. It's not a first world privilege problem, because the internet is everywhere. So how do we support children's mental health and safety online?
absolutely. So this is what we were saying earlier on. The problem here, the deeper problem, is parents are not available to police these things, okay? Because they're too busy. Now, to address this, your question, the people who are supposed to help implement this are absent. So it's going to be very difficult for us to actually find implementation of this effective. Because remember, as I said earlier on, the younger people are the ones who are coding. They're coding in their bedrooms. They're creating businesses from AI in their bedrooms. And we are still, as much as we are saying technology, we are actually far behind these youngsters as far as technology is concerned, whether we like it or not. So we need to find a way that is more compassionate to understand why these kids are struggling. As I mentioned earlier on, these are emotional issues. They're feeling some kind of pain of not having mom and dad around enough to play ball with them, to play all these offline games with them, to build their self-esteem and confidence. That's the problem. So what can we do to reverse that so that parents are not working longer hours, so that things are not as expensive? That's where our policy needs to focus, rather than banning things that are actually helping our children survive. Because we may actually find these could actually come with more consequences than the element of, they can sleep better because they are not online too much. But they could actually struggle to sleep because they've been exposed to something and now you've taken it away. They know it's out there. You can't automatically extinguish it out of their mind. So these are the real problems that we need to be thinking about.
Mertha, this has been such an invaluable conversation. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The voice of Mertha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant director of Insight Wellbeing. If you'd like to revisit this conversation, www.channelafrica.co.za.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
It's gone 2 p.m. Central African time, the golden hour of the upside. But before we get into our festivities, let's get the latest news with Onel Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories. Benin President Patrice Talon says the situation is completely under control and Israeli forces have withdrawn from Gaza. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Benin President Patrice Talon says the situation is completely under control in his country. This after the government thwarted an attempted coup thanks to loyalist soldiers with support from Nigerian forces. A group of soldiers announced yesterday on state television that they had ousted President Talon. That sparked a swift response from loyal army forces joined by airstrikes and troops deployed from neighboring Nigeria. Beninese military and security sources said around a dozen soldiers had been arrested, including those behind the coup bid. Election expert Tenda Mbanje explains.
The coups are linked to economic challenges. They are linked to issues of misgovernance. In this case of Benin, we see that the president, he has positioned his finance minister to take over. I think there's a group of segment of people that are the population that is unhappy with it, and also he has managed to some extent to dismantle opposition. So you see that sometimes the coups are caused by internal challenges, governance challenges. But however, the timing of the coup, the preparation of the coup, and also there was no consensus. That's why it is failed.
Amnesty International South Africa has reiterated its call for the implementation of specific legislation to protect those advocating for human rights. This follows the assassination of Marius van der Merwe, known as Witness D, over the weekend. Van der Merwe's testimony before the Madlanga Commission last month contributed towards uncovering allegations of criminality and corruption in the police service. His killing has renewed calls for improved protection of whistleblowers and witnesses. Amnesty International South Africa spokesperson Genevieve Quintal says government must develop and adopt domestic legislation for the protection of human rights defenders in the country.
And we've been advocating for legislation, very specific legislation that targets what we call human rights defenders. This includes whistleblowers. It includes you and me. It includes anyone in this country who is standing up for rights for themselves, rights for their communities. In terms of the UN Human Rights Declaration, they all should be provided protection mechanisms. And this goes then beyond witness protection or only whistleblower legislation. We're saying that, we need a more specific legislation that protects a wider group of people.
The case of 3 people accused of breaking into South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm and stealing over $500,000 has been postponed to the 13th of January at the Morimole Magistrate Court in the Limpopo province. The case was postponed because there was no Ovambo interpreter. All 3 accused are Namibian. Accused number 3, Ndilinasho Joseph, was also not in court because of an illness. NPA spokesperson Mashudu Malabi.
We were supposed to proceed with the trial today in Modemole. However, we couldn't proceed because the interpreter of Ovambo was not available, and we secured one from Cape Town. And then accused number 3 is also ill, so the matter couldn't proceed. Then it has been postponed to 13 January 2026 and other dates from February.
The Gauteng Province Premier Banyaza Lesufi in South Africa is expected to address the Provincial World AIDS Day commemoration in Johannesburg. The event is held under the theme Renewed Efforts and Sustainable Commitment to End AIDS. It focuses on strengthening HIV awareness, encouraging testing and improving treatment as part of the province's goal to end AIDS by 2030. The MMC for Development Planning in the city of Johannesburg, Eunice Mgcina, says the fight against HIV and AIDS requires sustained commitment from government and communities alike.
Today we gather not only to remember the millions of lives touched by HIV and AIDS, but also to reaffirm our collective commitment to ending this epidemic in our lifetime. As the city of Johannesburg, we have made a significant strides in the fight against HIV and AIDS through expanding testing, access to treatment, and community-based programs.
Lastly, the head of the Israeli military has said the position to which Israeli forces have withdrawn in Gaza is a new borderline. The so-called Yellow Line leaves Israel in control of more than half of Gaza. Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir's comments appeared at odds with the U.S. ceasefire plan, which envisages a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces. The BBC's Ebeshen Asha.
The Yellow Line marks the division between the more than 50% of Gaza that Israel currently controls from the rest of the territory where Hamas still operates and almost all the people of Gaza are located. It's intended to be temporary, but Palestinians fear that it could become a permanent dividing line. Even though it's not official Israeli policy, the description of the line as a new border is becoming more common in Israeli discourse. But any government move to act on this would put the second phase of a ceasefire plan in serious jeopardy.
Recapping on your top stories, Benin President Patrice Talon says the situation is completely under control in his country after government thwarted an attempted coup thanks to loyalist soldiers with support from Nigerian forces. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinsi.
SABC News. The African perspective. Time to stay informed, inspired, and connected to the ideas driving Africa forward. The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Eight minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the second hour, the golden hour of The Upside, the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And download our brand new Channel Africa app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. Interesting conversation coming up next, Mmatsheko Mosito, because imagine going on holiday, you left your house, as it were, untainted, not inhabited by other people. You come back and you realize that someone has hijacked your house. How would you feel?
Listen, it would be a problem, especially if it's not one or two or three people, but multiple people living in my house. That would be a problem. So we're looking at the City of Johannesburg Public Safety Department carrying out a raid. We've seen the video go viral on social media of this raid of a residential property in one of Johannesburg's affluent suburbs. I don't know if is it still affluent? Bryanston. Really? That, authorities believe has been hijacked. And according to Public Safety MMC, Mr. Tswaku, the operation follows a report that the rightful owners returned from holiday, as we've mentioned, to find that their house had been occupied without their consent. But also, I guess people are looking for, I think because, especially with Johannesburg, there's so many people, that it's just, people are living on top of each other. That's how big a crisis of overpopulation is in the city. And people are always just looking for gaps of where they can live. So if you're going to go on holiday in 2020, that's how many years ago, and come back and think you're going to find everything still in one place. Wow. And there's no caretaker, there's no housekeeping, there's nobody taking care of your property. Listen, you're going to find some wild surprises like this particular residency. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack this investigation as it is still ongoing. So we've got to just mention that it is still an ongoing investigation, but we're going to look at this. We're going to look at the issue of undocumented foreigners and how they made it into this particular property and the arrests that are seemingly to follow because of this.
Africa, It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed. Tamo
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Tebogo and Mmatsheko on the upside.
She come from Sapele, Mr. Checkade. Help me quick away. That can stop for that. May she dance for away. I'm living my best life. Nobody can tell me how I go live my life. Making nobody tell me. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. Buy my loud for 2K. The many days where we say Rabba day. Really back base, I pound to me, shake shit. You know the vibes stay sharp like every day. You know the bad vibes more like a souffle. Get a perfect picture like a beat, like a dope. No be a dope, it be real life, you sabi say. Look me wine, I be money chessa. Could you echo? Me, I be parent child. 9,000 on the street, like I'm living my best life. Nobody can tell me how I go live my life. Making nobody tell me. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. I'm on your job, I'm on your farm, I'm on my soul, I'm on my soul. Can't kill it. Can't kill it. Can't kill it.
Fourteen minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. The name of that song, Kenkele, by, who's that? Buju from Benin, featuring One Day Cole. Welcome to the Monday edition of The Upside. It's the golden hour now on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo, Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Where are you streaming us from? You can stream us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Let us know where you are streaming us from on our WhatsApp line, +27 63 406 9126. Let's get into an important conversation. Perhaps you have been living under a rock and you didn't see that about a week ago there was a raid in Bryanston, a whole mansion which was turned into an informal settlement, and the owners were on holiday this whole time. They didn't realize that their house has been turned into an informal settlement.
It is quite a big story. The City of Johannesburg Public Safety Department, I beg your pardon, is carrying out a raid, as we've seen on social media, on a residential property out in Bryanston. This is a suburb in Johannesburg in South Africa, and authorities believe that it has been hijacked. So that's what we're talking about. We want to see or get a sense of or understand property hijacking, because that is becoming quite a problem in the city as I see it, as somebody that's living in the city. I'd like us to also look at the legal rights of homeowners, tenant screening and leases. All those issues are going to come up in conversation with our expert, Tricia Limbani, who's a property practitioner, joins us on the line so we can have a conversation. Welcome to Channel Africa, Tricia. Wonderful to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. It's great to be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think let's start right there in terms of understanding hijacking. Perhaps you can explain to us what property hijacking is exactly and how it typically happens, especially in residential areas, using Bryanston as an example.
Yeah. So when it comes to hijacking of buildings, I like to define it as an unlawful or exploitation, forcefully taking someone else's assets. So it's a cluster of crimes. Legally, it's a cluster of crimes because you have the fraud, extortion, and illegal occupation on someone else's, property. So at the very, very core of hijacking of a building, I like to call it an unlawful takeover. So that's what we have here on hand, considering the Bryanston situation. And regarding the commonalities of the occurrence at Bryanston, it's quite rising. It's rising really quickly, and it's quite scary, especially from a high value estate or suburb like Bryanston. It shows us that these syndicates are really gaining more confidence in doing exactly this, because maybe the Papaya Act does somewhat protect them some form, and it can be a dragging situation. So yeah, from a legal standpoint, that's what we can define, or what constitutes property hijacking.
It's 18 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We're joined on the line by property practitioner Tricia Limbani to talk to us about property hijacking. Maybe you have been a victim yourself. Maybe you didn't realize that you have rights. And we're going to unpack some of those rights with Tricia right after the break, because it can't be that you own a property and someone just takes over your property without your knowledge, subleases it, makes a profit from it, and in so doing takes complete rights away from you. And you come back from your holiday, like the Bryanston family, find that your property has been taken over. It can't be that is the case and they can just put their hands up and say there's nothing I can do. We are going to unpack what those rights are for you as the property owner, and how you can mitigate and ensure that this doesn't happen to you. It's 19 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Mmatsheko, Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
20 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's continue our conversation about property hijacking. And let's unpack the legal and the safety implications of this. On the line, we are joined by property practitioner Tricia Limbani. Tricia, let's talk about the rights of the owners of these properties. We'll use the Bryanston one as a case study. They were on holiday for quite a few years, had no idea that people are living on their property. They get back, they find out that their property has been hijacked. What rights do they have now in this situation?
Yeah. So when you consider the PI Act, we get to see sometimes that it looks like, the rights are well in favor of the occupant. But what then the owner of the property that's been hijacked can do firsthand is that they can actually get lawful, or rather the law enforcement to get involved, right? They need to then make sure that they do the lawful eviction through the courts, civilly so, and also instruct an attorney to actually launch the formal civil eviction for them. The application will obviously go through the High Court, and it will strictly follow the PI Act procedure to be able to successfully evict the illegal occupants.
Tricia, I want to understand your role in all of this. The role of a property practitioner in terms of preventing or resolving situations like this, because it would be very easy for any, we're seeing that a lot where we bypass you guys because we want to save costs, right? And we want to do everything ourselves. But you have a very big role in helping us to navigate and resolve these situations, so where do you fit in here?
So it's very important to make sure that you actually involve a property practitioner when you lease out a place, especially for both parties, especially the owners. I mean, these things can happen. It's evident, quite evident with the Bryanston case. We come in a sense where we are able to mitigate around, the legal frameworks around what the lease agreement should look like, what encompasses of. It was mentioned that there was spelling errors on the lease agreement that this this new tenant had signed. So we actually come in and we mediate all of that. We get to see using obviously our attorney partners to say, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what a lease agreement should encompass of. Does it protect both parties, the tenant and the owner as well? So that's where we come in, because we work simultaneously with attorneys. So it's very important to make sure that you have a property practitioner involved throughout the procedure.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the safety element of these hijacked properties. For this one in particular, they were talking about unsafe wiring, makeshift structures. What does this say about the risks that tenants face when they find themselves occupying these hijacked properties?
Yeah, this is very dangerous. And it takes me to the case that we had in Pretoria with Schubert Park, apartments there. It's very, very dangerous. When you get to look at the conditions these people live in, it's very sad. It's not a place that is conducive for any human being to actually live in. You know what I mean? So it's not safe. And also when you get to look at, so say for example, if the owner then decided today they are going to sell their house, no one is going to want to buy into that house because they know it was once raided by illegal occupants, and the chances of that occurring again are very high. So no one would actually want to live around in that place. Banks also would consider the place high risk, and it would be very difficult to actually put that kind of a property on sale for whatever reasons the owner would have. So yeah, safety and value are highly impacted by illegal occupants.
That is a very, very big concern around the impact on property value then. The marketability or marketability, I want to say, of a hijacked property is highly compromising in this state. But let's talk about dealing with occupants then, Tricia. What are the legal steps that one should be confronting, with after individuals have been living in a hijacked property? Because look, at the end of the day, this belongs to somebody. Once you have saved your property, whatever that may look like legally, you've saved the property. How can you then remedy the situation and claim the property back and then get tenants to live there or sell the property, as it were?
Yeah. So first things first, my advice would be for the owners to not do anything physically. Don't try to remove these people forcefully. I mean, what are the chances of, getting hurt throughout the process? Imagine the poor lady coming back from Cape Town and being attacked by 100 people. So it's not a smart thing to do to try to forcefully do things by yourself. Rather lay a criminal charge or case with your SAPS immediately when there is a stench of illegal occupants. Run to the SAPS and open a case with them. Open a case of trespassing, fraud, theft, and illegal occupation, right? And then from there, you can get an attorney that will represent you in court to make sure that this eviction is done civilly and that court orders are, acquired in the process. So I think that is the safest way to go about when wanting to recover your assets back.
Trisha, the role of our neighbors then, what role do they play in a situation like this? Because someone would have had to raise an alarm and say, hey, there's something going on here. But also the bigger picture, does this end up devaluing hijacked properties in this particular suburb? Does it end up devaluing the value of the properties in the area itself?
Oh my goodness, isn't that tricky? What would you do if you were the neighbor?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. But I mean, for an area like Branston, I mean, think about it, high valued suburbs. As a law abiding citizen, my brother's keeper, neighbor, I've got you. I would actually step in, you're away on vacation. Let me at least do this one thing, was blow a whistle somewhere, somehow to your neighbor. Let them know this is what's happening, but also involve the police. You don't want to do anything by yourself. It is very, very important to make sure that you do not do things by yourself. Chances of getting hurt are high. Chances of tampering with evidence is high. Because remember, when the police opens up a case, there's a number of things that they look at. The intent of profit. What if the person comes with backup story of, I'm not intending on making profit from this, I'm just occupying with my family. So there's a number of things that the police look at before opening up a case. So you want to first get to them as a neighbor, and then we can take it from there. I think that way I've got your back.
Provided you and I as neighbors know each other, I think that's where we need to start, especially in lines with high walls and everything. Trisha, I'm winning 90 million rand in the lottery this month, okay? And I'm going to be going on holiday for 3 years. You need to give me some advice, lady, as to what practical steps I can take as a homeowner to protect my property, especially if I'm going to be going on holiday long term, whatever that may look like, 3 months, 6 years, whatever the case is.
Yeah. From my point, if I had a client that would tell me that, or a neighbor, I would obviously advise that the neighbor does do short leases, sign up a lease with someone. It's safer that way. You have, an agreement, a legally binding agreement with your tenant who will be occupying for the duration until you come back from your vacation. So that way your house is safer. It's in someone else's hands, one that you trust, that is. Or get a property practitioner that will be able to manage the property while you're away. Sometimes get a security guard. Security guards actually are very, very valuable when it comes to such events. When someone is going away for a long term, get a security guard that will be able to look over your property. And also sometimes Airbnb short stays actually do work in this regard, but obviously with the help of a property practitioner or a property manager.
I love how Trisha has been pushing the whole property practitioner here, especially with the house sitting. Sounds like you, Trisha, have been house sitting quite a lot of those Bryanston high wall houses for the owners.
Well, you know what? I wish I helped that lady out.
Actually, yes, this would not have happened. And also, I've just learned about the role of property practitioners at this time. Very, very important. Please do not bypass. Don't pinch pennies. Put your money where it's going to be worth it. And getting somebody like Trisha Lembane is a good idea. Where can we find you before you go, very quickly, should we need your services?
You find me on LinkedIn as Trisha Lembane, TikTok Trisha Lembane, Instagram Trisha_Lime.
Ladies and
There you find
gentlemen,
me.
amazing. Trisha, thank you so much for your time. Property practitioner Trisha Lembane. It's 31 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports with Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We kick off with rugby news. The South African captain Impi Visser has loaded his side's fighting spirit in capturing the second successive Cape Town Sevens crown. The Blitzboks beat Argentina 21-19 in a nail-biting final yesterday after trailing 14-7 at halftime. Coach Philip Snyman's Chargers also finished the weekend unbeaten in their 5 matches. The Blitzboks' early errors cost them dearly, and only Donovan Don managed to go over for home side in the first 7 minutes. And Naboso Goyi and Christy Grobbelaar then got over the whitewash to secure a hard-fought 21-19 win for the Blitzboks. Visser praised his team's efforts, especially after having to fight their way back into contention.
Our error rate in the beginning was a little bit high, struggled to get ball possession or to actually hang on to our ball, but I think once we started to get into our phases, get the ball into the wide channels, the boys started to get into their flow, and just credit the boys for clawing that one back and just showing that fighting spirit that the Blitzboks is all about.
With a 6-week break coming up before the series resumes in Singapore, Visser is grateful to end the year on a positive note.
Yes, it's an amazing feeling. We told ourselves over this weekend we want to stay in the moment and then we want to win the moment, and I think the boys definitely won this moment. Definitely we're going to have a little bit of a break now going over Christmas, and it's just well deserved. Proud of the boys.
Cricket news. Faye Tunnicliffe led the Proteas women to a 65-run victory over Ireland in the second T20 International at Boland Park in Paarl. The win secured an unassailable 2-0 series lead for the hosts with 1 match remaining. Chloe Trion led the attack with figures of 2 for 24. Tunnicliffe says she's more happy to contribute for the team.
Yeah, really special. My goal has always been to contribute to the team, and I just wanted to do that meaningfully, and I'm glad that Suna and I could put like a pretty good foundation up. And then, I mean, the middle order was insane. They came in and just like whacked it all over. So happy with that. Made him 50, hopefully a lot to come, but main thing, like I said, is to contribute.
Uganda is set to host the first ever Africa Dragon Boat Cup, scheduled to take place from the 1st to the 4th of October 2026. A 2026 Africa Dragon Boat Cup is expected to attract more than 500 professional athletes from 16 countries across Africa, Europe, Asia, and South America, along with hundreds of traveling fans and millions of online viewers. Ambassador Richard Cabonero has welcomed Uganda's selection, saying the sport offers new opportunities for young Ugandans and enhances people-to-people relations. Dragon boat racing is a sport steeped in history, having been an important traditional program in China for over 2,500 years. It currently boasts a massive global following of more than 50 million players. Let's end with boxing. Heavyweight Otto Wallin says YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul is in for a nasty surprise when he steps into the ring against Anthony Joshua on the 19th of December, describing the British boxer as the hardest hitter he has ever faced. Wallin faced Joshua twice as an amateur, losing both bouts, but that didn't stop him pushing for a professional contest which took place in Riyadh in December 2023. For Wallin, who built his reputation with a tremendous display of courage to take Tyson Fury the distance is in Las Vegas in 2019, the match-up is a handy one for Joshua. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
36 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest business news. Buntle Hedbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. Our top story: Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces says it's taken control of Sudan's largest and most strategic Heglig oil field in the South Kordofan province. Heglig, which lies along Sudan's southern border, houses the main processing facility for South Sudanese oil, which makes up much of the revenue for South Sudan's government. Oil is transported through the Greater Nile pipeline system to Port Sudan on the Red Sea for export, making the Heglig site vital both for Sudan's hard currency earnings and for South Sudan, which is landlocked and relies almost entirely on pipelines through Sudan. The war that erupted in April 2023 between the Sudanese army and the RSF has repeatedly disrupted South Sudan's oil flows, which before the conflict averaged between 100,000 and 150,000 barrels per day for export via Sudan. South African Trade Unions Federation, COSATU, says it would like to see a shift from austerity cuts to enable the social relief of distress grant to be increased to the food poverty line. The Labour Federation's parliamentary coordinator, Matthew Parks, made this submission on the medium-term budget policy statement to Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations this morning. This is part of the committee's ongoing public hearings on the MTBPS. Currently, the SRD grant is just over $46, while the food poverty line is just over $47. Park says while there are a few factors to celebrate, like the end of load shedding and getting off the grey list, more measures should be put in place to assist workers.
We just really want to see in the budget next year really a shift away from austerity cuts. Let's prioritize frontline services. Let's see how to reduce wasteful expenditure. We do think that over the MTEF we should be finding a pathway to raise the SRD grant to the food poverty line. We should be prioritizing filling frontline vacancies like doctors, nurses, teachers, police officers, not management.
South African national oil company PetroSA has approved a deal to give Shell Offshore a 60% stake in its Block 2C off the country's west coast. If successfully concluded, the agreement will strengthen oil major Shell's exposure to the Orange Basin, which has become one of the world's most coveted exploration zones after major oil discoveries in neighboring Namibia. According to a short note under PetroSA's priority programs, the company had approved the farm-in deal, with Shell committing to a $25 million signing bonus and full cost carry of around $135 to $150 million for 3 wells. PetroSA holds 100% of Block 2C. Some emerging businesses in South Africa's Limpopo province say they are hopeful that a partnership between the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism and the Johannesburg Stock Exchange will provide them with access to capital and credible markets. LEDIT and the JSE reached an agreement to build a permanent investment pipeline that can unlock market access and funding for small and medium-sized enterprises in the province. 34-year-old small-scale farmer Ndwana Nomabunda hopes that the partnership between LEDIT and the JSE will help bring investment.
I think if we get funding, grant funding, to buy our machinery and build some agro-processing house and some bigger dehydrator machine and a vegetable cutter, because now we are using a knife. We don't have a proper material. We are trying with the little we have. Even the hydrator machine we have, but it's small. We want to pull volumes.
The Russian government says India will continue buying oil wherever it's profitable for it to do so in order to ensure its own economic interests. US President Donald Trump doubled tariffs on Indian goods to 50% in August to punish New Delhi for buying Russian oil, which Washington said was helping to fund Russia's war in Ukraine. On a visit to New Delhi last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered India uninterrupted fuel supplies. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says India, as a sovereign state, conducts foreign trade operations and purchases energy resources where it's beneficial for India and will continue this policy to ensure their economic interests. And now taking a look at the indicators, $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,449 naira this afternoon. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 15. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 75. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 1. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 43. Russia, 75 rubles 87. In India, it's 89 rupees 89. China, 7 yuan 7, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 92 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,211 per ounce, platinum at $1,665 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $63.26 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126. And we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African perspective. The upside, live and real.
Yo holangana your waist. Now I'm a hope I'm a new baby. I never seen another you, baby. I got my eyes on you. Yeah, I pull up on you. Yeah, I feel like I know you. Champagne wanna pour for you. When you move all eyes on. So let me put my hands on your waist, girl. I love how you shake it more than diamonds. You kill 'em with a different style. Every time you bust a wine, so fine, you already know. Baby, so when you're Natasha, when you're Bukula, I'm a best I can't tu. Wanna watching guy in the machine, the she lulupa. In a sauce, and a sauce, and a sauce, and a left. Wala, 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 fire, papa. Wala for the thing you buy, na papa. Somebody stop that. Find mommy, what that. doctor. My mommy water.
Your body said too bad, but you get wahala. You just they make me kolo. Ibadi ni joa, to body ready, baby me bere kojo. Ekolopa ekwe soldier, it's an emergency. They say troublemaker. Say she come for the party, almost sexy, looking for money maker. I should lock you down tonight, cause you carry contraband. You take for some kind of wine. We are no fee understand. Bushin gong gong, come on, baby, lori gong gong. I'm gonna take you home tonight. Unnecessary, odi don don. Wahala, wahala, wahala for your papa. Wahala for the thing you wild and proper. Somebody's got that. My mommy want that.
.47 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Wahala by Bin Adekunle Gold and Shine TTW. This is The Upside, the Monday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with me, Tebogo, Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. We get ready now for What Caught Your Eye.
Are we not venting today?
We're not venting today.
Oh.
Our producer is tired of us venting. Like, stop venting. Can you just stop with the venting? But maybe we can vent in the last hour. How about that?
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got something to vent about.
No, I was just wondering, has the clock changed? But clearly it has. I have been informed.
All right.
Which is wonderful.
All right, we'll get a vent in because Mmatsheko seemingly...
No. I was just really asking because that's what we usually do on the show.
Oh, no,
we vent first and then we caught eyes.
Yeah, that's because we had a conversation with our about the Australian social media ban, and that's why, for our regular listeners, like, why didn't it happen at 10 to 2? That's because we're having very important conversations. But listen, we promise to have a vent o'clock just before the show ends. But for now, let's get ready for What Caught Your Eye.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The U.S. is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
10 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. It's time for What Caught Your Eye. No doubt, what would have caught your eye in South Africa would have been the killing rather, of a witness at the Madlanga Commission. A whistleblower at the Madlanga Commission. Now, the commission, for those who are not familiar with what the commission is all about, it is a judicial commission of inquiry into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. Right? Witness D, who testified at the Madlanga Commission, his real name, Marius van der Merwe, has been shot and killed outside his home in Brakpan. This was in front of his family. How horrible that must have been for the wife and the kids. He testified that he was instructed by, one of his testimonies was that he was instructed by a senior Lekhuleni Municipality Police Department official to help dispose of a body of a suspect allegedly tortured and killed by Metro Police officers. And this was one of the testimonies, right? And on Thursday night, he was gunned down by armed gunmen carrying AK-47s. They opened fire on him and killed him right in front of his family. And they fled in a white Nissan NP200 bakkie. At the very same, just before this happened, he had been in communication with one of the ENCA reporters by the name of Yusuf Abramji. Also, can we shout out people like Yusuf Abramji of ENCA, because the things that they see on a daily basis would traumatize the normal human being. I don't know how he goes to bed carrying all the things that he carries, the emotions, the stories, the tortures, the traumas. There's a lot that he experiences, but we shout out and say thank you to people like him who tell us the truth. Apparently, Witness D, Marius, was going to expose some illegal mining officials, so illegal zamazamas. Illegal mining was happening in the area, and he was getting ready to expose some high-level officials. He had sent a voice note to Yusuf Abramji, and to getting ready to expose them. And then, before he got a chance to do that, and he had stressed that he was fearful for his life because there are high-ranking people involved. And then he got gunned down. As a whistleblower, where do we stand? You're seeing illegal activities. There's no protection, especially with this high valued commission that involves so many people at the highest of highest levels in government, in policing. He had declined protection from the Madlanga and the state because he had said he's going to use his own security. But still, I think the state should have provided him with extra security because of the sensitivity of the information that he was putting out there. So as a witness, as a whistleblower, where do we stand? It doesn't seem like organized crime will be defeated anytime soon if whistleblowers are being killed for the information that they are carrying. Very unfortunate, and condolences to his family who witnessed all of this firsthand.
It's got to be the cruelty for me, the cruelty of how all this is done, and the cheapening of lives of African people on a daily basis is just unacceptable. Whether they are whistleblowers, pedestrians, whatever the case is, working in law enforcement, we cannot continue to cheapen the life of a human being in this manner where we can just tick and then there are very little to no consequences at the end of the day. But I don't know if you're watching what's happening in Benin. It reads like a story from, I don't know, like a very profound documentary. I think also for me and a lot of other African people, we've watched Benin become this, this shining example for what democracy could look like. One of West Africa's most stable democracies over the past decade or so. In fact, more than that, because the rarity of the success story in that region is something to acknowledge when you watch how they were able to, get over the hurdle of coups. But now we're here again. Okay, the ministers have, of course, as we've seen in reports, the ministers have announced that this coup is not happening. It has been foiled. But watching what has been occurring has been quite something. By the morning of Sunday, which was yesterday, the 7th of December, 2025, a small group of soldiers in Benin appeared on state television and made an announcement that they had taken over, basically wanting to dissolve the government, suspending the constitution, and naming a new military refoundation committee under Pascal Tigri, that is. And by the afternoon, the country's leadership and loyal armed forces declared that this coup attempt has been foiled, and then they went on to arrest several soldiers and restoring control in the country. But where are we going with these takeovers, the rise of these coups? And it raises other painful questions around what is happening with the rest of the continent and the coups, and how, is it just as simple as foiling them and then that's it, we continue on? Or are we going to actually work on the problem? We are watching regional bodies like ECOWAS, like the African Union, that have stepped in, and I think perhaps that's what can comfort us. The fact that we have the regional support, as it were, that is coming in and moving very swiftly, very quickly, might I add, in terms of being able to reassert constitutional order. But beyond that, as African people, do we know what we're doing? Do we know where we're going with this? But big love to ECOWAS, big love to the African Union for really stepping in really quickly and making sure that these coups are foiled. But perhaps we should use this as an example, that we should deal with the problems before we get to having to foil coups and arrest people. Are we dealing with the problems?
Bigger problems at hand.
That's the question.
Because now you take over and then what? Like you were saying.
Yes.
And then what? Okay, now we have new leader, new systems, new policies, and then what? But dealing with it from the root would be the best place to start. But we are seeing them everywhere now, the coups. We have Madagascar. We are seeing them everywhere now. And closer to election times on the African continent, we are seeing even more. But what are the actual implications going to be for the people on the ground when these coups are deemed successful? Anyway, that's what caught our eye. Do you want to add to that?
Oh no, I just wanted to reiterate your point that people, black women, or anyone in the vulnerable group umbrella, is always the one that's going to suffer the most. Not these people that are orchestrating these coups and making decisions on our behalf, but the people that are at the bottom of the food chain are always the ones to suffer the most.
It's 1 minute before 3 p.m. Central African time. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of this, we hand over the mic to get the latest news and then step into the final hour of The Upside.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect.
All right, it's gone 3 p.m. Actually, is it 3 p.m. Central African time? Not really. It's like less. It's less than a few seconds to go before 3 p.m. Central African time. Interesting conversation coming up in the next hour, because AI innovations on the African continent are taking over, and people are using AI tools and equipments and technologies in everyday life. There's a lady who invented something, Mmatsheko Mosito, that you are going to love, that has something to do with agriculture. AI, agriculture coming together in the final hour. We'll address it. Don't go anywhere.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Tebogo, looking at your top stories, the situation in Benin now completely under control, and Ukraine in talks with key European allies on war with Russia. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Benin President Patrice Talon says the situation is completely under control in his country after the government thwarted an attempted coup thanks to loyalist soldiers with support from Nigerian forces. A group of soldiers announced yesterday on state television that they had ousted the President Talon. They sparked a swift response from loyal army forces, joined by airstrikes and troop deployments from neighboring Nigeria. Beninese military and security sources said around a dozen soldiers had been arrested, including those behind the coup bid. Expert Tenda Mbanje explains.
The coups are linked to economic challenges. They are linked to issues of misgovernance. In this case of Benin, we see that the president, he has positioned his finance minister to take over. I think there's a group of segment of people that are the population that is unhappy with it, and also he has managed to some extent to dismantle opposition. So you see that sometimes the coups are caused by internal challenges, governance challenges. But however, the timing of the coup, the preparation of the coup, and also there was no consensus. That's why it has failed.
Police in southeast Nigeria's Imo State sold a hotel and private mortuary allegedly owned by a suspected kidnapper after a weekend raid uncovered dozens of decomposed and mutilated corpses. This has raised suspicion of illegal organ harvesting operations. Imo Police spokesperson Henry Okoye said today that more than 100 corpses were discovered during the raid at the Umuhu Autonomous Community in Ngo-Okpala district following intelligence on the suspect, who has now been declared wanted. Nigeria has been plagued by an escalating crime wave, with kidnapping gangs expanding into ritual killings and suspected organ trafficking rings. Amnesty International South Africa has reiterated its call for the implementation of specific legislation to protect those advocating for human rights. This follows the assassination of Marius van der Merwe, known as Witness D, over the weekend. Van der Merwe's testimony before the Madlanga Commission last month contributed towards uncovering allegations of criminality and corruption in the police service. His killing has renewed calls for the improved protection of whistleblowers and witnesses. Amnesty International South Africa spokesperson Genevieve Quintal says government must develop and adopt domestic legislation for the protection of human rights defenders in the country.
And we've been advocating for legislation, very specific legislation that targets what we call human rights defenders. This includes whistleblowers. It includes you and me. It includes anyone in this country who is standing up for rights for themselves, rights for their communities. In terms of the UN Human Rights Declaration, they all should be provided protection mechanisms. And this goes then beyond witness protection or only whistleblower legislation. We're saying that, we need a more specific legislation that protects a wider group of people.
The Department of Home Affairs in South Africa says the office working hours will now be extended until the 19th of this month. A second extension of the working hours will also take place next year from the 5th to the 16th of January. These extended hours are aimed at helping citizens, non-citizens and visitors with documents, applications and collections. The extension applies to all Home Affairs branches nationwide. Tato Letsaba reports.
With holiday travel set to get underway from this weekend, the Department of Home Affairs says it will keep its offices open longer to ease the festive rush. For the next 2 weeks, branches will close at 6 p.m. instead of 4 p.m., with the same extended hours returning in January for another 2 weeks. December is South Africa's busiest travel season as thousands journey across provinces and borders to reunite with family or head to holiday destinations. Longer operating Waiting hours are aimed at allowing citizens to apply or collect passports, IDs, and other emergency documents needed for smooth travel. Bookings must be made in advance through the branch appointment booking system before visiting a branch.
Lastly, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky is holding talks with key European allies in London today about how to end the war with Russia. The leaders of Germany and France will be at the talks hosted by Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The BBC's Joel Gunter.
A key meeting for President Zelensky today. He will be looking to shore up support for Ukraine from its key European allies. On the agenda for them in London today is going to be security guarantees for Ukraine, ongoing military support. Obviously, there is a little bit of a question mark still around the level of influence that Ukraine's European allies are able to have on this process. They were somewhat sidelined early on as the US devised that first iteration of the peace plan, which leaked and shocked both Ukraine and its European allies. And people said at the time that it looked, at least in part, like a peace plan that could have been devised by Russia.
Recapping on your top stories, Benin President Patrice Talon says the situation is completely under control in the country after government thwarted an attempted coup thanks to loyalist soldiers with support from Nigerian forces. Channel Africa News, I'm Oneli Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Time to stay informed, inspired, and connected to the ideas driving Africa forward. The Upside on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Seven minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time, we step into the final hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo, Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Send us a voice note. Where are you streaming us from this afternoon? +27 63 406 9126. And don't forget to download our brand new Channel Africa app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or your iOS device. We are getting into some tech conversations in this hour. And I said earlier that you're going to love this, Mmatsheko Mosito, because at this year's Tech Found Her Africa Challenge finale, our guest, Kenya's Esther Kimani, won. But her winning solution was an AI-powered system that detects crop pests and diseases early. How cool, a game changer in the agricultural space.
Absolutely. I think artificial intelligence is no longer an option in fraternities like agriculture. It is a must, especially when we look at being able to connect farmers and people in the agricultural value chain with resources, which is very needed on the African continent. So this is a very big campaign, and it is giving women in tech and transformation and innovation spaces an opportunity to really put their projects forth and actually watch them in real time make an actual difference. Absolutely. And real impact and measured impact, which is so important.
All right, it's 9 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. If you'd like to be inspired, no, not if you'd like to be inspired, be inspired. Stay tuned to our next conversation, and who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create your own AI tool solution, or maybe you're creating something right now and would like to share it with the African continent. We'd love to hear from you. Our WhatsApp line +27 63 406 9126. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Deogratus Bwire, wewe kama mkurugenzi wa shirika la kutetea haki za binadamu kutoka kule Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Maandamano yameendelea kwa siku ya pili. Nini kinaendelea?
Kwanza mimi ningependa tusiliweke kama wafuasi wa upinzani. Kwa sababu kiukweli mimi nilipata kidogo kushuhudia watu waliokuwa wanapita barabarani hawakuwa kwa namna yoyote ile wamebeba bendera ya chama chochote cha upinzani.
Umezungumzia swala zima vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa vinapaswa kurekebishwa. Vitu hivyo ni nini?
Hivyo vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa tayari nimeshavisema huko. Najua kumekuwepo na mtiririko wa matukio mengi sana. Watu ambao wanakuwa wanapinga masuala kadha wa kadha ambayo yanaonekana kufanywa na vyombo vya dola kwenye mitandao au hata pia nje, wamekuwa wakichukuliwa hatua.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Tebogo and Mmatsheko from the upside.
I don't wanna cheat on you. Everyday temptation, baby, yo, I just wanna kiss on you. I just wanna kiss on you. I don't wanna cheat on you. Everyday temptation, baby, yo, I just wanna spend on you. Come here, make I spend on you. Oh no, don't let me cheat on my woman, no, no. I try, you know, say I try. Don't let me cheat on my woman, no, no. I try, yeah. Look at that face, look at that bum bum, look at that waist. What a bum bum, baby, my taste. What a bum bum, baby, my grace. Look at that face, look at that bum bum, look at that waist. What a bum bum, baby, my taste. What a bum bum, baby, my grace. It's amazing. Telling me what I'm gonna do. Everybody want a piece of me. Telling me what I'm gonna do. It's amazing. Telling me what I'm gonna do. Everybody want a piece of me. Telling me what I'm gonna do.
Say they love me scatter. I know you see this back, and I will make you never want another woman. Cause I'll be crossing the border. Give you my love on a platter. What I'm in chair, mera energy. Whoa, pese what do me ya in Jammy oh. Biana miss your yemedia kumadiko. Da bena o beba, dona da bena o beba, da bena o beba, dona da bena o beba.
Look at that face, look at that bum bum, look at that waist. What a bum bum, baby, my taste. What a bum bum, baby, my grace. Look at that face, look at that bum bum, look at that waist. What a bum bum, baby, my taste. What a bum bum, baby, my grace. I can't know what it's in there, yeah, me shake me, yeah, me makate. Oh, I can't know what it's in there, I'm gonna miss you. Lord, I love my woman. I love my woman. I don't want to look another woman. Oh, I love my baby. Oh, I love my woman. I love my woman.
14 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. The name of the song, Cheat on You by Kiddy and Jackie. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Last month, Mmatsheko Mosito, some of Africa's brightest women innovators gathered for the Tech Found Her Africa Challenge finale. And Kenya's Esther Kimani stood head and shoulders above the rest. I think this is a story that will inspire a lot of people, but also inspire Mmatsheko Mosito personally. All right. And this is because her innovation, her winning solution, was an AI-powered system that detects crop pests and diseases early. And this could be a game changer for smallholder farmers who lose massive portions of their harvest each year. Her victory was especially symbolic. It happened on Global Women's Entrepreneurship Day. During the same week, South Africa hosted the G20 presidency and the B20 summit, a moment that spotlighted women's leadership, economic inclusion, and African ingenuity on the world stage. As she celebrated, Esther said she hopes her journey inspires girls from rural communities who simply need opportunity to rise. Her work proves that African innovation doesn't have to imitate the world, it can lead it, shaped by lived experiences and solutions rooted in our continent's realities. She now joins us on the line. Esther, thank you so much for your time. Not yet. All right. We're going to work on getting Esther on the line. But again, what an innovation that is going to be. What a game changer it's going to be in agriculture. We've heard of AI innovations where people are now creating tools and technologies that can detect how long a crop is going to be in the ground for and what it needs. It needs more sunlight or it needs more water. Technology is just... we need it, but some people are just abusing it in the wrong way, and that's a negative light that it's being shone on if it's being used incorrectly.
Absolutely. This is such a beautiful initiative, Found Her Africa Challenge, and the resources that are backing these projects is also what just gives me hope for the potentiality of this work, whether it's in Kenya with Esther Kimani, whether it is in the DRC with Jenny Onya, whom I spoke to yesterday.
Okay.
But there are, several women that are really just, Jenny's story, as an example, how she was able to carry on, and it gives us hope because this is a success of an African story. It's not just about agriculture, but it's really about how fraternities are joining forces and making a difference and telling our story in ways that matter, and not just sitting in some corner and waiting or crying about how under-resourced we are or how we are not like this continent or that continent, but really taking and championing food systems and other fraternities that are supporting innovation and transformation in meaningful ways. So I'm very excited for us to catch up with Esther Kimani, who emerged as the overall winner of this particular initiative.
Oh, I love the whole we're helping ourselves now as Africa. Creating solutions for African problems. We have said it before, how, and you touched on it, it just doesn't sound right, nor does it feel right when someone comes from outside of Africa to bring solutions for Africa. They don't live the problems and challenges, and therefore better the solutions come from people who live on the continent, experience the challenges, because those solutions are going to be practical and they're going to be relatable to the people in that area. But we'll work on getting Esther on the line so we can chat with her about her innovation. Oh, she is on the line, all right. But we'll chat with her after the break. It's 19 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
Well, welcome back to The Upside. It's gone 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo, Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko, Mosito. Join us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. We finally got her on the line. We used technology to get her on the line. This is the Tech Found Her Africa Challenge winner. Her name is Esther Kimani from Kenya. Her her winning solution was an AI-powered system that detects crop pests and diseases early. She now joins us on the line. Esther, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on your victory. Talk to us about the inspiration behind this AI solution that you brought onto the table.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's such a pleasure to even have this opportunity to share our innovation and our story with the world. First of all is that I'm born in a farming community. I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of pests and diseases. I have lived through the life of a smallholder farmer and seen what a good yield means to us as a family, what a bad harvest would mean to us as a family, and how our basic needs are also affected. So it's such a pleasure to have this opportunity with Channel Africa to share more about what we do.
I'm so inspired to see women all over the African continent founding companies that are going to take our story forward in meaningful ways. Esther, I want to know about the company that you founded, Farmer Lifeline Technologies. Talk to us about establishing this company, and when you did establish it, what was the goal for you?
That's a good question. That's so close to my heart. As I mentioned earlier, I grew up seeing the devastating effects of pests and diseases. And I was the only girl from my village who made it to the university. And on that first day, when I was leaving home for the university, I knew that I was leaving home to change home. And I studied a degree in computer science. And when I looked at what computer science was presenting as opportunities and the problems that I had grew up seeing, I saw an opportunity to use technology to solve pressing societal problems that I had seen growing up. You see, sadly, in Africa, we lose almost half of the food produced to pests and diseases. Imagine, almost half. And that is food that would feed at least 1.2 billion people in a year. And I felt that there was just that deep sense of responsibility as a girl in STEM to use what I had to solve the problems that I had seen growing up. And so in 2020, I founded Farmer Lifeline that exists solely to get farmers ahead of pests and diseases.
Esther, tell us how this technology, this innovation works, because it sounds absolutely brilliant. Detecting pests and diseases very early on, but how does it actually work?
It's a good question that I get asked a lot. We're using AI-enabled cameras. I know you've heard of AI, but here's where a camera is trained to see a healthy and an infested crop many times until you get to an accuracy of about 97.5%, which is where we are right now. So once that camera is now mounted on the farm and looks at the crops that it is seeing on these farms, it's able to see whether it's healthy or infested. And if infested, it can tell it this specific pest, this specific disease, and the farmer should apply this, and these are the quantities, the exact quantities that the farmer should apply. So they're able to know of the infestations early and take measures before, most of their crops are destroyed by this infestation.
23 minutes past 3 p.m. Central African time. We are in conversation with the overall winner of the Found Her Africa Challenge. The grand finale has taken place and she is the winner. She comes from Kenya and she's quite the innovator when it comes to solution-based businesses. Farmer Lifeline Technologies is a company that she founded that ultimately won her this particular initiative, as it were. I really admire the fact that you have personalized the solution by basically looking at the experience of your community and then shaping an innovation that is going to help that community. So as a female founder, is to talk to us about Africa's tech ecosystem. As soon as I say those words, I see male faces and voices come to mind, right? So I think it's so wonderful that we are having encounters with feminines that are taking space in innovation. So what barriers do you think exist or that you are witnessing currently in STEM fields, and how can women overcome them? Because sometimes I may have a great idea that's similar to Lifeline Technologies, but I'm so afraid because I feel like I'm under-resourced or that it's too male-dominated.
And I think that's actually very true. When you think about the STEM space, it's mainly male dominated, and women sometimes have to work twice as hard to prove that they can do the work that a man can actually do. It's very unfortunate. And actually, growing up, I didn't have as many female mentors in the computer science space, which I appreciate now in the recent years that we've had a number of women founders coming out with these incredible innovations and inspiring even the younger generations to also take up the STEM space, especially for the young girls. But we didn't have so many mentors really in this STEM space. I must say that personally, I am truly grateful to my parents because they looked at what I scored in high school. I got an A actually. And they were like, this brain needs to be utilized. We need to utilize this brain and let's see which is the best course for this young girl of ours. I'm the firstborn of four. And they're like, why don't you challenge yourself with something like even computer science that's using technology and the like? So my biggest fans were my parents, and I am truly grateful to them for allowing me to even take up education. They paid my school fees. They sacrificed so much of their own dreams to get to where I am today. And so I really hope that here in Kenya will inspire more girls to take up STEM space and leadership and entrepreneurship, because we can do it if we put in use what we have and realize that we come from the
Yeah, we're having some challenges with your line.
define where we're going, but
we really can't hear. We really can't hear. Your line is breaking. We're going to send you back to our producer, but we are still in conversation with Esther Kimani. I love how she thinks. I love how she thinks about farming spaces. I love how she thinks about solution, because we all think differently about solution and what solutions can look like. She is the founder of Farmer Lifeline Technologies and the ultimate or overall winner of the Found Her Africa Challenge that took place. Really beautiful initiative.
Absolutely. All the more reason why you should invest in looking around you. Because oftentimes the solutions we're trying to find seemingly look like they're outside of us. They are so far-fetched. No, but look around you. These are her lived experiences. She grew up in a farming household family. She saw what impact this pests and diseases had on the crop and the harvest. And she said, no, let me use my education. Let's bridge that gap. Let's ensure that we don't experience that again. So look around you. Oftentimes, the very thing that you need to be doing in life is right around you. It's not outside of you.
Absolutely.
It's right around you. Be cognizant of what's happening around you. Be attentive and show an interest in creating value. All right, we do have Esther back on the line. Esther, we have unfortunately run out of time, but very quickly, where can people find you on the socials to follow your journey and the growth of your business?
Oh, thank you so much for that opportunity. On LinkedIn, I'm Esther Kimani. We are Farmer Lifeline Technologies on Facebook. And I think I would really be glad if more can come in and ask questions. And even for mentorship, I'm also open also for mentorship for people in this space. We have organizations that are in this tech space, AI space, farmers, because we still have a mission of 1 million smallholder farmers by 2030. And we need all the help that we can get. So if you're out there, you know what we need, or you have something that we need as Farmer Lifeline to get us there, jump in and join us on this journey.
Jump in and do your bit, because I think that's actually the operative word, is collaboration, because what we want to see with companies like Pharma Lifeline Technologies is scalability and adaptation. Okay, so it doesn't start and stop here. There is so much more room for digital literacy to grow beyond the limits that we are seeing at here on the African continent. It is 3:30. Figilele Ngwati is standing by with the latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We bet off with cricket news. The final leg of the Proteas tour to India unfolds tomorrow with the start of 5-match T20 International Series in Cuttack, India. After winning the Test Series 2-0 and losing the One-Day International 2-1, the Proteas are eager to get the T20 Internationals underway with a view to T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka early next year. The start of the T20 International Series is a chance for the Proteas to finalize their squad ahead of next year's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. And it's a chance for seasoned campaigners like 36-year-old David Miller with 130 T20 international matches worth of experience to stick his hand up amongst the next generation.
It has been forever. I think my last game was a Champions Trophy earlier in the year, so it's been a long time, but just great to be back. It's been great watching the guys back at home. Obviously feel, you want to be there, but the guys have been doing so well and it's been lovely to watch.
The Proteas want clarity of roles and combinations ahead of the World Cup. And Miller says that's crucial because there's no magic formula to winning the tournament.
No, I don't think there's really one recipe to win a World Cup. I think it's, it takes a team effort, takes a group effort, should I say, management and players included. And I think it's just standing up when the moments matter.
On to rugby news. South African captain Impie Visser has loaded his side's fighting spirit in capturing their second successive Cape Town Sevens crown. The Blitzboks beat Argentina 21-19 in a nail-biting final yesterday after trailing 14-7 at halftime. Coach Philip Snyman's Chargers also finished the weekend unbeaten in their 5 matches. The Blitzboks' early errors cost them dearly, and only Donovan Dawn managed to go over for home side in the first 7 minutes. And Nabo Sogoi and Christy Grobbelaar then got over the whitewash to secure a hard-fought 21-19 win for the Blitzboks. Visser praised his team's efforts, especially after having to fight their way back into contention.
Our error rate in the beginning was a little bit high, struggled to get ball possession or to actually hang on to our ball, but I think once we started to get into our phases, get the ball into the wide channels, the boys started to get into their flow, and just credit to boys for clawing that one back and just showing that fighting spirit that the Blitzboks is all about.
On to boating. Uganda is set to host the first ever Africa Dragon Boat Cup, scheduled to take place from the 1st to the 4th of October 2026. The 2026 Africa Dragon Boat Cup is expected to attract more than 500 professional athletes from 16 countries across Africa, Europe, Asia, and South America, along with hundreds of traveling fans and millions of online viewers. Ambassador Richard Cabonero has welcomed Uganda's selection, saying the sport offers new opportunities for young Ugandans and enhances people-to-people relations. Dragon boat racing is a sport steeped in history, having been an important traditional program in China for over 2,500 years. It currently boasts a massive global following of more than 50 million players. Let's end with boxing news. Heavyweight Otto Wallen says YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul is in for a nasty surprise when he steps into the ring against Anthony Joshua on the 19th of December, describing the British boxer as the hardest hitter he has ever faced. Wallen faced Joshua twice as an amateur, losing both bouts, but that didn't stop him pushing for a professional contest which took place in Riyadh in December 2023. Wallen's corner called a stop to that fight after 5 rounds, leaving the big Swede with some painful memories. At the recent press conference to publicize the fight, which is due to take place over 8 minutes, 3 minutes rounds in Miami, the 36-year-old Joshua towered over Paul, who usually boxes at cruiserweight. For Wallen, who built his reputation with a tremendous display of courage to take Tyson Fury the distance in Las Vegas in 2019, the matchup is a handy one for Joshua. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +271 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
36 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the final business news this afternoon. On the upside, Buntle Hedbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. Our top story. South African Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says a key message being taken to Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum in January is that South Africa is ripe for investment and ready to do business. Speaking to media at a pre-WEF business breakfast, Godongwana says trade negotiations with the United States are ongoing, adding that government is also in the process of appointing a South African ambassador to the U.S. The minister says South Africa will resume its G20 participation in 2027, following the country's exclusion from U.S. G20 presidency next year.
We're involved in intense negotiations on trade negotiations, which is and those trade negotiations, by the way, are going very well. There may be what is attracting people a turf with the USA on what they call genocide. As a result, they are not accrediting us for G20, but it does not mean a necessary fallout with the USA. It's up to the member state to decide what to do. As far as we're concerned, if we are excluded by the USA in 2026, 2027, G20 presidents go to the United Kingdom and will resume our seat in 2027.
South Africa's national oil company PetroSA has approved a deal to give Shell Offshore a 60% stake in its Block 2C off the country's west coast. If successfully concluded, the agreement will strengthen oil majors Shell's exposure to the Orange Basin, which has become one of the world's most coveted exploration zones after major oil discoveries in neighboring Namibia. According to a short note under PetroSA's priority programs, the company had approved the farm-end deal with Shell committing to a $25 million signing bonus and full cost carry of around 135 to 150 million US dollars for 3 wells. PetroSA holds 100% of Block 2C. South African Trade Union Federation, COSATU, wants a Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Solly Malatsi, to intervene in the ongoing business rescue process of the Post Bank and Post Office. The Labour Federation's parliamentary coordinator, Matthew Parks, made a submission on the medium-term budget policy statement to Parliament's Standing Committee on Appropriations this morning. This is part of the committee's ongoing public hearings on the MTBPS. The Post Office has been under business rescue since 2023. Park says to ensure that the matter is concluded swiftly, Malatsi needs to intervene.
We have not seen progress under the business rescue practitioners. What we've seen is retrenchment of thousands of workers, the closure of many branches. We fear that's going to actually ultimately further weaken the capacity of the Post Office, not assist it. So we do hope the new, not so new minister, Honorable Malatsi, will be able to try to move things forward, because what we've not seen in the past years is any movement forward. But also means that Treasury also needs to honor its capital injection commitments as well.
Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces says it has taken control of Sudan's largest and most strategic Heglig oil field in the South Kordofan province. Heglig, which lies along Sudan's southern border, houses the main processing facility for South Sudanese oil, which makes up much of the revenue for South Sudan's government. Government forces and workers at the Heglig oil field withdrew from the area on Sunday to avoid clashes that could have damaged the oil facilities. Oil is transported through the Greater Nile pipeline system to Port Sudan on the Red Sea for export, making the Heglig site vital both for Sudan's hard currency earnings and for South Sudan, which is landlocked and relies almost entirely on pipelines through Sudan. The war that erupted in April 2023 between the Sudanese army and the RSF has repeatedly disrupted South Sudan's oil flows, which before the conflict averaged between 100,000 and 150,000 barrels per day for export via Sudan. The Russian government says India will continue buying oil wherever it's profitable for it to do so in order to ensure its own economic interests. US President Donald Trump doubled tariffs on Indian goods to 50% in August to punish New Delhi for buying Russian oil, which Washington said was helping to fund Russia's war in Ukraine. On a visit to New Delhi last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin offered India uninterrupted fuel supplies. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says India, as a sovereign state, conducts foreign trade operations and purchases energy resources where it's beneficial for India and will continue this policy to ensure their economic interests. And now taking a look at the indicators this afternoon, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,449 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 15. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 75, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 1. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 43. In Russia, it's 75 rubles 87. India, 89 rupees 89. China 717, and South Africa $1 is trading at 16 rand 92 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,211, platinum $1,665 per ounce, and Brent crude oil is at $63.26 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bundle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do that. And therefore, it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa. The African perspective. The upside. Live and real.
I can't scatter everything on the legit. I see courage, enjoyment, you talk say it a kilo. Under fire, the person where they be for. blessings cover you. You see this life, make money, drop money, enjoy yourself. Problems don't they finish you. If you want know the go, you go make you the logo. Plenty blessings, plenty they follow. Sure you think say I don't know, don't be today. I remember Sakma used me they play. I've been there so far, they also for the street. I could scatter everything on the legit. I see correct enjoyment, you talk say he they kill. Under fire, the person where they beef. I've been there so far, they also for the street. I could scatter everything on the legit. I see correct enjoyment, you talk say he they kill. Under fire, the person where they beef.
Hello, with everybody for you. Body just shake bello. But you so fun tell bello. Deliver like I get bello. Them say I dey go sell out. Them say I dey go sell out. Destiny to fortuna. I go make you Joe Dada. Say you get the power. Sweetie passy, I'm a lucky too. Shinji Kagawa. Jesu Christi Lobawa. Got them falling yakata. You know I see sabi girl they do. Sabi, oh, sabi, oh, sabi, only reason why them they call me Oloni. While you be fin, I'm still leading, kill anything. I know fitness. You know go fit in my shoes. High fashion, Jimmy choose. Wanna sip some gin and juice tomorrow? It's me okay, fortuna. I go make you Joe Dada. Say you get the power. Sweetie passy, I'm a lucky too. Shinji Kagawa. Jesu Christi Lobawa. But them falling yakata. You know I see sabi girl they do. Hey, sabi, oh, sabi, oh, sabi, oh, sabi, oh.
10 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. Stability by Ira Star. And before that, we had Enjoyment by Rude Boy. This is The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. We're going to take a quick breather. When we get back, we hand over the mic to the queen of Africa in business. That is Tami Ngubeni.
Se é artista em exceção que procura mostrar a sua música a público mais vasto, ou apenas procura promover a sua música na rádio, podemos ajudá-lo a aumentar as suas hipóteses de sucesso. Envie sua música para music@channelafrica.co.za. Para tal, precisamos das seguintes informações: rótulo, código ISRC, título, artista, compositor, editor, autor, linguagem, gênero. 3. Escute sua música, trilha sonora da nossa rádio, perfeita para melhorar o seu dia. Com Channel África e a sua música, você nunca ficará entediado. Experimente o melhor da música africana na perspectiva africana.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Kakabosano, yebizanga zokozana bosa ya go na 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 na, bona za 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 za. Disponible pour aider ta woman, ebe ke yoza ni kulma. Chérie sala no kyo siniza babose, zotungiza moli mona ngaki mabangwa hii. Chérie sala no kyo siniza babose, zotungiza moli mona ngaki mabangwa hii. Kakabosano, yebizanga zokozana bosa ya go na 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 na, bona za 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 za. Disponible pour aider ta woman, ebe ke yoza li kulma. Chérie sala no kyo siniza babose, zotungiza moli mona ngaki mabangwa hii. Chérie sala no kyo siniza babose, zotungiza moli mona ngaki mabangwa hii.
Beautiful lady, for what I'm about to do with you, you're not ready. Una cosa, dime cuándo vamos libre la vida loca. Una cosa, dime cuándo vamos libre la vida loca. Naringio, llamo de malanga, mwasi kitoko. Llamo de malanga, de malanga, oh de malanga, de malanga. Hey, mama.
It's 4 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. The name of the song is Posa. Posa. It is Posa. But the artist, and I wanted to make sure I get it right. Okay.
I worry with you.
It says C for Pedro and Zara Williams.
Okay, that's easy enough.
No, but I'm thinking, is it not C cuatro Pedro?
Are you hanging around with Jacob Devani?
Yeah, clearly.
I love it for you.
Because I'm like, it can't be C4. Maybe it's C4. C4.
That actually has
Pedro.
a lot of sense in it.
Thank you very much. We'll ask Jacob Devani to confirm later today if it is.
Why don't we just call
Pedro.
him? We've got some time.
You've got
Let's
his
actually
number.
just phone him. Yeah, let's ask, phone him right now.
Can we call, where's our producer, Nombuisero Tango?
Jacob Devani, just by the way, is with our Portuguese desk, and he hosts Ritmo Shil Cultura every single weekend. Listen, you got to check out that show. It's one of my favorite music shows on the African continent. It's one of my favorite shows in the world.
The whole world.
It's one. Listen, he packs a punch every single weekend. So, and you don't need to speak Portuguese to enjoy that show. He's very musically inclined. He is very educational in terms of just the way he comes through with this music. So that's who we're talking about, Jacob Devani. Check him out with Ritmo Il Cultura every single weekend, exclusively to Channel Africa, and you can check out his work, his profile, everything about him on channelafrica.co.za. But I think we should phone him now and ask him.
Energy unmatched. Have you had energy, Jacob Devani, when he goes on air? Oh my goodness, man. What a guy, man.
Our favorite human.
Listen, we're not gonna vent today, right? We decided to be people of gratitude today. We're not gonna vent, right? We'll vent tomorrow, business as normal. But I wanted to raise weird competitions that take place around the world. Weird competitions. There was an ironing competition at some point. I saw people ironing. There was a whole ironing competition, Mmatsheko. This one sort of makes sense. Not really weird, but it's like we're not really used to it. Excel World Championships took place. Excel, Microsoft Excel, the spreadsheet thingies. There was a world championship that took place.
No, I really like that because can I tell you, to this day and age, I cannot tell you how many people still struggle with Excel. People
can do so much on it.
The question is always, do you know how to use Excel? And even with job specs, they still ask that you be proficient in Excel. Like, what's so difficult about it? But now that you say there's a lot, I'm like,
there's so
that's why.
much you can do on Excel. You can, from the pivot tables, these are the basic things. You can budget on it. You can create graphs on it. These are the basic things. You can code on it. There's Canva is also Canva is also another platform that a lot of people underutilize because they're not quite familiar with its capabilities. Canva, people just go on to Canva and I'm going to create a marketing poster or a social media poster. There's so much that you can create using Canva. Have you ever seen, I'm going to use a basic example. Have you ever seen a travel vlog where people use a map and on the map the car moves from point A to point B?
Yes, I've seen that.
You can do that on Canva. A lot of people don't know that.
And anyway. I'm on a paid subscription. Listen, I need to get my act together.
We need these tutorials. Anyway, from us, the Upsiders, let's do this again tomorrow. Same time, same place. African Business is coming up next with Tami Ngubeni. Goodbye, Africa.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And we look at your top stories this hour. Congo president accuses Rwanda of violating a peace deal, and the United Nations has launched its annual aid appeal. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi, addressing lawmakers earlier today, has said Rwanda is already violating its commitment under a peace deal mediated by Washington, undermining efforts to end fighting in the east. U.S. President Donald Trump last week hosted Congolese and Rwandan leaders in Washington to sign new deals aimed at ending years of conflict in a region rich in minerals. Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's Paul Kagame on Thursday reaffirmed their commitments to a U.S. brokered deal reached in June to stabilize the vast country and to open way for more Western mining investment. Both Kagame and Tshisekedi said they will honor the deal. Police in southeast Nigeria's Imo State sealed a hotel